ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरून् श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So today's Thursday, and we are starting with we are continuing our Bhagavatam third canto, right? So we are in third canto, second chapter, 30th sloka. So let's start from here. Prayuktan Bhojarajena Mayinah Kamarupinah Leelaya Vyanudhat Tamstan Balakridanakhaniva. Okay. The great wizard, who were able to assume any forms, were engaged by the king of Bhoja, Kamsa, to kill Krishna. But in the course of his pastimes, the Lord killed them as easily as a child breaks dolls. Okay, this just to remind ourselves, like this is a discussion going between Uddhava and Vidura, and here, Vidura is asking about the welfare of the Yadu dynasty and the Krishna and all these things, and then there is in the course of discussion, so he's asking to describe the pastimes of Krishna, and then this basically, like he's asking about Krishna's welfare. So Uddhava starts to speak right from the childhood, what has happened. And this is something that has happened in the childhood, that Kamsa was trying to kill Krishna in so many ways, but then Krishna was killing all the demons, who were very very powerful, great wizards, it is mentioned. So he was just killing them all, very easily. So in this way, we have seen this thing. So let's see the purport. The atheist Kamsa wanted to kill Krishna just after his birth. He failed to do so, but later on he got information that Krishna was living in Vrindavan at the house of Nanda Maharaj. He therefore engaged many wizards who could perform wonderful acts and assume any form they liked. All of them appeared before the child Lord in various forms like Aha, Aga, Bhaka, Putana, Shakata, Trinavarta, Dhenuka, and um, Gardabha. And they tried to kill the Lord at every opportunity. But one after another, all of them were killed by the Lord, as if he were playing only, as if he were only playing with dolls. Children play with toy lions, elephants, boars, and many similar dolls, and which are broken by the children in the course of their playing with them. Before the Almighty Lord, any powerful living entity is just like a toy lion in the hands of a playing child. No one can excel God in any capacity, and therefore no one can be equal to or greater than Him, nor anyone attain the stage of equality with God by any kind of endeavor. Jnana, yoga, and bhakti are three recognized process of spiritual realization. The perfection of such process can lead one to the desired goal of life and spiritual value, but that does not mean that one can attain a perfection equal to the Lord's by such endeavor. Whatever may be, basically Prabhupada is trying to write, whatever may be the process that we may adopt, we can never become God. So that is the main process that is mentioned here. when he was playing just like a child on the lap of his mother, Yashodamai, or just like a cowherd boy with his transcendental friends, he continued to remain God without the slightest diminution of his six opulences. Thus thus he is always unrivaled. So whether he's a small boy or a grown up, whichever Leela the Lord was performing, he was always the Supreme Lord, unchallenged, no Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? So this is the thing that is mentioned here. In text 31, Vipannan Vishapanena Nigrahya Bhujagadipam Uttapya Bhayayat Gavas Tattoyam Prakriti Sthitam. The inhabitants of Vrindavan were perplexed by great difficulties because a certain portion of the Yamuna was poisoned by the chief of the reptiles, that is Kaliya. The Lord chastised the snake king within the water and drove him away. And after coming out of the river, he caused the cows to drink the water and proved that the water was again in its natural state. So this is an amazing pastime, right? So Kaliya Leela, where the this is one of the very very uncommon thing that we can see, that the whole lake was completely poisoned, and anyone who come in touch with the lake was completely they were going for toss, and Krishna enters that lake, he fights with Kaliya, and then it is nicely mentioned in that the whole pose of Krishna standing on top of Kaliya is, or dancing on top of Kaliya, is called as the Kaliya Nartanam. So it is displayed in the form of a dance. So here is a demon, and Krishna is trying to attack, and the attack is so artistic, so artistic, and it comes in the form of a dance. So that's really very wonderful. That's the greatness of the Supreme Lord. So we see that in this world, when some difficult tasks are done, for example, like airplanes are done, and then so many complicated machineries are done. So one side of the machinery is good, but then the other side, it emits so much of uh, toxins, or it emits so much of byproducts and things like that, and so much of machinery, ugly looking machineries, which are there, so many wires and things like that. So but then when Krishna does anything, he does it so artistically. He does it so artistically, even attacking a demon. He is doing it in such a way that it appears to be a well orchestrated dance performance, right? And that too, it is mentioned that Kaliya's heads, generally the snake, I don't know how many of you have got the opportunity to catch hold of a snake. So in the place where our temple is, in the HPR layout now, near the in our main temple. So there, when we first occupied the place, it was completely jungle, throughout. So every now and then some snake would come, and especially in the ashram, so many snakes would come. So it was like we have to catch them, or sometimes beat them, and sometimes throw them off and things like that. So the snake's bodily surface is so cool and so smooth. It is very very this one very slippery actually. And Krishna dances on the hoods of such a on a slippery surface. So it is like completely unfit for a dance performance. It's curved surface, it is slippery surface, and it is an attack. It is not just that the snake is also cooperating in the dance. It's actually an attack. And then one of the points which the Nagapatnis, when the Kaliya was sufficiently chastised, and then the Nagapatnis, they come and offer prayers to Krishna. So at the time, they say that great rishis and munis, they are performing tapasya to get the touch of your lotus feet. But then no, our husband, he is a rascal, he is a sinful man, he has only been poisoning people and killing people and things like that. And in such a person's head, you have placed your lotus feet. That's so great, so amazing. Uh, so my audio is clear, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So this in the wives of the Kalia, so they were praying in that way that this guy is a rascal, but then you have danced on top of him. So like you have placed the lotus feet of yours on top of his head. What a glorious position that he has attained. No, like we cannot imagine what is the reason for your unlimited mercy upon this person, right? So in that way, there are many wonderful things are there in the Kaliya Leela. Sometime we will study about that. Anyways, we will continue. Text 32. Um, Ayajayad go sevana goparajam dvijottamaihi vittasya choru bharasya chikirshan sad vyayam vibhuhu. The Supreme Lord Krishna desired to utilize the opulent financial strength of Nanda Maharaj for worship of the cows, and also he wanted to give a lesson to Indra, the king of heaven. Thus, he advised his father to perform worship of Go. Go means the cows, or the pasturing land and the cows, with the help of learned brahmanas. So, this we know the Govardhan Puja. Um, let's see in the purport. Since he is the teacher of everyone, the Lord also taught his father Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj was a well to do landlord and owner of many cows, and as was the custom, he used to perform yearly worship of Indra, the king of heaven, with great opulence. So this is the most ironical thing. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Lord Krishna has appeared in Vrindavan, and in his presence, everybody is worshipping Indradev. So we tell so much about we should not perform demigod worship. We should perform the worship of Supreme Lord. And when Supreme Lord was present personally, and his own family members were doing demigod worship, so he was like. That is like kind of too much to tolerate for him, right? This worship of demigods, uh, okay, this worship of demigods by the general populace is also advised in the Vedic literatures, just so people can accept the superior power of the Lord. The demigods are servants of the Lord, deputed to look after the management of various activities of universal affairs. Therefore, it is advised in the Vedic scriptures that one should perform yajnas to appease the demigods. But one who is devoted to the Supreme Lord has no need to appease the demigods. Worship of the demigods by common people is an arrangement for acknowledging the supremacy of the Supreme Lord, but it is not necessary. Such appeasement is generally recommended for material gains only. As we have already discussed in the second canto of this literature, the one who admits the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not need to worship the secondary demigods. So this we have seen in many places, even in Bhagavad Gita itself. Krishna mentions that no one who worships the demigods, he actually terms them as alpamedasa. So like those who are less intelligent, those who are not very intelligent, they worship the demigods, right? And then we studied about this Deva Rishi Bhutapta Rinam Pitrinam. So like whatever rini we have towards any of the devatas or the forefathers or people in general, or no, all of them is covered, or all of them is mitigated just by performing worship to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? And then we also studied that the yata toror mola nishechanena. So just by watering the root of the tree, no one will get, no one will nourish the whole tree. In the same way, Tataiva Sarvar Hanamachyuteja. So in the same way, all the demigods can be worshipped just by worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this way, worshipping individual demigods is not necessary. And even if we have to worship, there are 33 crore of them. Now, how can you worship all 33 crore of them? If you worship somebody and not worshiping someone else, so it's how can it is not very proper, right? So that's why worship of the Supreme Lord is the best form and proper form of worship. Okay. Sometimes being worshipped and adored by less intelligent living beings. So why Prabhupada says less intelligent living beings here? Because Krishna says that, no, Alpa Medasa. So those people who are worshipping the demigods, they are very less intelligent. Alpa means very, very less. No, Medasa means intelligent. So it is not whimsically Prabhupada is not telling in this way that no, these people are less intelligent. It's exactly what is given in Bhagavad Gita, right? So sometimes, adored by less intelligent living beings, the demigods become puffed up with power and forget the supremacy of the Lord. Mm. If too many people are following us, then we will think that we are God. No, so that's what happens to the demigods. This happened when Krishna was present in the universe, and thus the Lord wanted to give a lesson to the king of Indra, king of heaven, Indra. He therefore asked Maharaj Nanda to stop the sacrifice offered to Indra and to use the money properly by performing a ceremony worshipping the cows and the pasturing ground on the hills of Govardhana. By this act, Lord Krishna taught human society, as he had instructed in the Bhagavad Gita also, that one should worship the Supreme Lord by all acts and by all their results. So, all of us know that Govardhan is not different from Krishna, and worshipping Govardhan means it is no same as worshipping Krishna, right? So even the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they don't even step on the Govardhan, no, because they consider the Govardhan to be body of Krishna, and in fact they worship the stones of the rocks of the Govardhan as Govardhan Shila, and they are non-different from the Supreme Lord. It's as good as having the Murti of the Lord in the home, right? So if we worship the Govardhan Shila. So, anyways, it's mentioned here that will bring about the desired success. If we properly worship the Supreme Lord. The Vaishyas are specifically advised to give protection to the cows and their pasturing ground or agricultural land instead of squandering their hard-earned money. That will satisfy the Lord. The perfection of one's occupational duty, whether in the sphere of duty to oneself or or towards one's community or towards one's nation, is judged by the degree to which the Lord is satisfied. Okay? So, if we are doing some service to somebody, it is not that the person whom we are trying to serve, he must be satisfied. So that cannot be the rule, because if many of you have experienced this, if you have to serve your children, so many times you may have to serve your children wherein the children doesn't like the way you serve. You put the child in the school, you send him to some tuitions or various things, but then the child will say like, no, I don't want to do this. So that means serving means it is not that the person whom you are serving must be pleased. No, it is not like that. No, the Supreme Lord must be pleased. So that is the main point here. So if the people in general have to be served, or society or a nation has to be served, so this nation and people will never become happy, never become satisfied. In fact, if we go out for doing sankirtan and distribute the holy name. No, holy name, hearing the holy name is so beneficial for the living entities. But then they will say like, why are you doing this nuisance? No, why don't you stop? Why are you disturbing? And things like that. So it's actually a good thing that is done to them. But then they will not understand. They will think it is nuisance. But that is the good service that is done to them, right? So sometimes they even criticize, saying that these devotees are like the parasites in the society. They don't contribute anything to the science and technology, and they don't contribute anything towards this one, and they simply like they are trying to live on the strength of other people of this world. So that is actually the acquisition, they say. But then it is a great service that is being done by the devotees. Just because few people are doing some dharmic activities properly, according to the scriptures. So there is we can actually bring about the natural balance. We can, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyo anna sambhavad yajnat bhavati parjanyo yajna karma samudbhavaha. So he says that Annad bhavanti bhutani. So the living entities subsist on food grains, and the food grains comes because of rains, and rains comes because of yajna. And what is the yajna that is to be performed in the Kali Yuga? No, in Kali Yuga, the yajna is prescribed method of worship of the Lord is the Sankirtan. And when we do Sankirtan, when we chant the names of the Lord, we are actually doing greatest welfare for the society. We are actually because if devotees, more and more people actually chant, then the environment will change definitely, for sure. That is, if that is the way we should have faith in the words of God. That's the way we should have faith in the words of Bhagavad Gita, right? So many people, many times we keep hearing the farmers committing suicide, lands are getting barren and no water resources and things like that. Basically, people are becoming adharmic. More and more people become adharmic, more and more, like, these kind of things will happen. So only way to actually reverse the situation is more and more people should take up to Krishna consciousness, chant the holy names of the Lord. Then automatically, all these problems will, gradually come to an end, right? Okay, so this is the main aspect of success, is if Vishnu is pleased or not. Text 33. वर्षथीन्द्र व्रजकोपाद भग्नमाने अति विह्वलः गोत्रलीलातपत्रेण त्रातो भद्रानु गृह्णत sorry भद्रानु गृह्णथा. Okay, भद्रानु गृह्णथा. Translation. O sober Vidura, King Indra, his honor having been insulted, poured water incessantly on Vrindavan, and thus the inhabitants of Raja, the land of cows, were greatly distressed. But the compassionate Lord Krishna saved them from danger with his pastime, Ambarla, the Govardhan hill. So we can see here one of the important aspects of the devotees of the Lord, especially the inhabitants of Vrindavan. We can see any problem that may happen, it is quite natural for them that they will always turn towards Krishna. That's the natural scene that they have. So it is, they would not take shelter of anyone else. They would not go for any other, maybe Krishna is small child, what he will do, like we have to take care of ourselves and things like that. No, this is a very important principle of surrender. I think we had discussed sometimes this aspects. There are 6 lakshanas of surrender, and these 6 lakshanas are anukulyasya sankalpa. Whatever is favorable for Krishna consciousness, we must accept. Pratikulyasya varjanam. Whatever is not favorable for Krishna consciousness, we reject. And then rakshayati iti vishvasho. So the Supreme Lord Krishna, he will save me and protect me in any situation. That's, he has a surrendered person has that faith in the Lord, that whatever may be the situation, he will protect. The Lord will protect me. That is Rakshayashiti Vishvaso. Gopatattva Varnam Tata. Lord is my only maintainer and protector. So he will maintain whatever is needed for my maintenance, whatever is needed to take care of my body and soul and continue my life. It will be provided by the Lord. And it is so that the devotee doesn't want to take any maintenance from any other source. Whatever may come, let it come through him only. No, I will not take anything from any other place. So that's a pure devotee of the Lord. He is like, by the will of the Lord, if something comes, I will accept it. So this many times it has happened that we see every day evening we are singing this bhajan of Bilva Mangal Thakur, and then we have example of Madhavendra Puri and many great devotees. Now, when they actually go to the when they actually went to the holy land of Vrindavan, so at that time, so Krishna would personally come and feed them with milk, and Krishna would say that, oh Baba, like, why are you not like begging anything? You're just simply sitting down in one place. You're just doing your bhajan. So here, if you ask for some, if you beg around, no, you will get something nice you can eat. So then they will say, like, no, we are not so much in need, so we are engaged in bhajan. So, and things like that. So then the Lord will say that, no, here in the land of Vrindavan, nobody goes hungry. Some sadhus, they come here and they beg and they get whatever they want, little food. And then those people who are not begging, I personally deliver them whatever is needed. So in that way, like Lord says that no, he is in this way, like the Lord actually maintains all his devotees. What to speak of devotees? No, he is maintaining the entire creation. Eko bahunam yo vidadati kaman, right? So he is that one who is supplying the needs and necessities of all the living entities, right? So in this way, no, Krishna is always the protector and maintainer of all the living entities. Gopatattva Arnam Tata, Atma Nikshepa and Karpanya, Sadvida Sharanagata. So this six lakshanas are there for surrender. Atma Nikshepa means completely surrendering, completely offering everything in his service. And then Karpanya means maintaining an attitude of humility. So these are all sign of a surrendered person. No, Sadvida Sharanagata. So these six lakshanas are there of surrender. So here we can see that in the Virjalila, all the Vrindavan Vasis, so they exhibited all these symptoms of surrender towards Krishna. They were completely perfect in their surrender to Krishna. Hmm. So, okay. So when there was distress, so then immediately they took shelter of Krishna, and Krishna immediately, he lifted his pastime umbrella, that is the Govardhan hill, and he saved them. Text 34. Sahasra chashi karner mrishatam मानयन् राजनीमुखं गायन् खल पद्मरेमे स्त्रीणां मण्डनः. In the third season of the year, the Lord enjoyed as the central beauty of the assembly of women by attracting them with his pleasing songs in an autumn night brightened by moonshine. Purport. Before leaving the land of cows, Vrindavan, the Lord pleased his young girlfriends, the transcendental gopis, in his Rasalila pastimes. Here, Uddhava stopped his description of the Lord's activities. This much he just tells and then he just stops. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purport of the third canto, second chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Remembrance of Lord Krishna. Let's continue. Chapter 3, the Lord's pastimes out of Vrindavan. Text 1. Uddhava uvacha tatasa agatya puram svapitarosh chikhirshaya sam baladeva samyutah nipatyatan tungad ripuyutarnatham hatam vyakarshad vayasum oja sorjvyam. Sri Uddhava said, thereafter Lord Krishna went to the city of Mathura city with Sri Baladev, and to please their parents, they dragged Kamsa, the leader of public enemies, down from his throne and killed him, pulling him along the ground with great strength. Purport. King Kamsa's death is only briefly described here because such pastimes are vividly and elaborately described in the 10th canto. The Lord proved to be a worthy son of his parents, even at the age of 16 years. Both brothers, Lord Krishna and Lord Baladev, went to Mathura from Vrindavan and killed their maternal uncle, who had given so much trouble to their parents, Vasudeva and Devaki. Kamsa was a great giant, and Vasudeva and Devaki never thought that Krishna and Baladev, would be able to kill such a great and strong enemy. When the two brothers attacked Kamsa on the throne, their parents feared that now Kamsa would finally get the opportunity to kill their sons, whom they had hidden for so long in the house of Nanda Maharaj. The parents of the Lord, due to parental affection, felt extreme danger and they almost fainted. Just to convince them that they had actually killed Kamsa, Krishna and Baladev pulled Kamsa's dead body along the ground to encourage them. Right? So these pastimes are described very vividly in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. Okay? Text 2. Sandipane sakrit proktam brahmadhitya savistaram tasmai pradadvaram putram mritam pancha janodharat. The Lord learned all the Vedas with their different branches simply by hearing them once from his teacher, Sandipani Muni, whom he rewarded by bringing back his dead son from the region of Yamaloka. Purport: no one but the Supreme Lord can become well versed in all the branches of Vedic wisdom simply by hearing once from his teacher, nor can anyone bring a dead body back to life after the soul has already gone to the region of Yamaraj. But Lord Krishna ventured to the planet of Yamaloka and found the dead son of his teacher and brought him back to his father as a reward for the instructions received. Right? So even Sandipani Muni, when he instructed Krishna and Balaram, he knew that Krishna and Balaram were not ordinary children. No, they were like a supreme personality of Godhead themselves. So when he asked for Guru Dakshina, he asked for something really very great. So he asked for his dead son, and he went to one water body. He went to take bath there, and there like he was he got washed off. And then when the Sandipani Muni asks that, will you be able to return my son? So then this Krishna and Balaram say, okay, fine. So it is our duty to repay you, like you have given us the valuable education. So it is our duty to repay you. So when they go there, they find that there is a great demon by name Panchajana. He was living in that area, and then in the form of a conch shell. And Krishna kills that demon and then makes that conch as his own personal conch shell. Now that's how the Panchajanya Shankar actually comes into picture. And then Lord Krishna and Balaram, so they go to the Patala Lokas, and then they retrieve this dead son of their spiritual master, and then they bring him back to him. So that's how great. It is not possible for anyone and everyone. It is only possible for the Supreme Lord to do. The Lord is continually. Okay, we'll continue. The Lord is continually well versed in all the Vedas, and yet to teach by example that everyone must go to learn the Vedas from an authorized teacher and must satisfy the teacher by service and reward. He himself adopted this system. So that's very important. Just to set the example, Krishna knows everything. Vedescha sarvar ahameva vedyaha vedanta krit veda videva chaham. So Krishna says that Vedescha sarvar, of all the Vedas, ahameva vedya. So I am to be known. And then Vedanta Krit, I am the compiler of the Vedanta. And then Vedavit, I am the knower of the Vedas. Evacha aham. So I am, basically like Lord is telling that, I know everything. I have only put it into writing, and it's all known to me, right? So such person, why he needs to go to Gurukul, why he needs to take a teacher, and why he needs to learn, just to set an example for all of us. And how he has done that? He has done that, and after that he has satisfied the teacher by his service and reward. That's the way of learning things. So whenever children would go to Gurukul, so they would study, and then they would offer Guru Dakshina according to their capacity, and then they would render service. Basically all sort of services they would do in the ashram. So they would clean the ashram, they would go and beg and bring food, and then they would do so many things, all sort of household things, everything they would do. And that is how the children are trained in the past. And even if he is a son of a king, even if he is a prince, he also would go. Even the prince would go to the Guru's ashram. He would act like a very, very menial servant. He would serve the spiritual master in all possible ways. That's how the Vedic culture is. Right? So nowadays it has become a very sophisticated situation, wherein just a minute. Sorry. So nowadays it has become a very sophisticated situation, wherein like people they just shop for knowledge, and then they just the person who is giving knowledge is also not so proper. They may be giving their mental speculation or some material knowledge, and the person who's taking is also okay, fine, no, I have thrown some money here and I must get education. So no, this teacher should know that's how people actually go to the school and colleges, and they have that kind of an attitude, no, and things like that. So this whole this one of respecting the teachers, no, that's completely not there. In fact, even when we were studying also, like, it was not a very good no etiquette that was there. So people would do pranks on the teachers, and people would disrespect them and things like that and all. So no, it's a very sacred thing, no, especially the this one, the spiritual teachers, no, they are very sacred. So we should try to respect them in that way. So Krishna is actually putting that example over here. Okay, and then the Lord offered his service to the teacher Sandipani Muni, and the Muni, knowing the power of the Lord, asked something which was impossible to be done by anyone else. The teacher asked that his beloved son, who had died, be brought back to him, and the Lord fulfilled the request. The Lord is not, therefore, an ingrate to anyone who renders him some sort of service. So Lord is always grateful, to anyone who renders anything, any small service also to him. So the devotees of the Lord who always engage in his loving service are never to be disappointed in the progressive march of devotional service. Okay, text 33. Samahuta Bhishmaka Kanyayaye Shriya Savarnena Bubusha Yaisham Gandharva Vritya Mishatham Swabhagam Jahre Padam Murdhani Dada Suparnaha. Attracted by the beauty and fortune of Rukmini, the daughter of King Bhishmaka, many great princes and kings assembled to marry her. But Lord Krishna, stepping over the other hopeful candidates, carried her away as his own share, as Garuda carried away nectar. Purport. Prince Rukmani, the daughter of King Bhishmaka, was actually as attractive as fortune itself, because she was as valuable as gold, both in color and in value. Since the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, is a property of the Supreme Lord, Rukmini, Supreme Lord, Rukmini was actually meant for Krishna. So Rukmini is like, it's not an ordinary woman, she is like Lakshmi Devi herself. But Shishupal was selected as her bridegroom by Rukmini's elder brother, and although King Bhishmaka wanted his daughter to be married to Krishna, Rukmini invited Krishna to take her away from the clutches of Shishupal. So when the bridegroom Shishupal came there with his party with the desire to marry Rukmini, Krishna all of a sudden swept her from the scene, stepping over the heads of all the princes there, just as Garuda carried away nectar from the hands of the demons. This incident will be clearly explained in the 10th canto. Right? So this Rukmini, she was right from her childhood. She used to hear the Leela of the Lord. She used to hear about the Lord, and this process of hearing, what we are doing right now, it is very, very powerful. Just by hearing about the Lord constantly, we develop a desire to attain the Lord. And that's what happened to Rukmini. She was constantly hearing about the Lord. And then, when her marriage was fixed with Shishupal, she was not at all interested, in that. And she wrote a letter to Krishna saying that if there is at all any punya in my credit, so please, like, come and kidnap me from this whole scene. No, if you don't do that, I will give up my life. And she actually says that how her experience of hearing about the Lord, and how she developed the desire to attain the lotus feet of the Lord. So in this way, this is a very amazing, this one, incentive for all of us. So we can actually hear about the Lord and meditate on his pastimes. And by this process, we will actually be able to attain the lotus feet of the Lord, like how Rukmini, personally demonstrated. Text 4. Kakud Mino Vida nasho dhamitva swayamvare naga najithim uvaha tad bhagna manan apigradyato uh, apigradyato jnanan jagne kashtha shastra bhrutasva shastraihi. By subduing seven bulls whose noses were not pierced, the Lord achieved the hand of Princess Nagnajiti in the open competition to select the bridegroom. Although the Lord was victorious, his competitors asked the hand of the princess, and thus there was a fight. Well equipped with weapons, the Lord killed or wounded all of them, but he himself was not hurt. So this is one of the queens. How so? There is a story behind every marriage of Krishna. There is a fight or some really very uh, like amazing thing that happens like when he wins over each of the queens. So this is one of the queens like where like this queen's father, he wanted to give his daughter only to Krishna, and then he kept such a very difficult proposal, very very uh, hefty and powerful bulls, seven bulls, and none of them are being, their nose rope is not there. And we have bulls in our temple, some really wild bulls. Even if you like put the nose rope, even if you catch the nose rope, still they'll be so powerful that they will just smash you. So that's the power of bull. And if they are well built and properly trained bulls, and no, there are some breeds are there, like some breeds are really really very powerful. So especially the South Indian breeds, they are very very powerful and very wild to control. So in that kind of seven bulls were kept, and anyone who can rope all the seven bulls, no, it's not that one after another they can. So that many of the Kshatriyas could do, but then all the seven bulls at a time, same time in the same ground. So that was a very very difficult task. No, so that only Krishna could do. Why? Because he could expand into seven different forms, and he could handle all the seven bulls. So this is not possible for ordinary princess. No, sorry, yeah. So ordinary prince, like ordinary kings, they cannot do that. So here Krishna shows his real amazing capacity in controlling all the seven bulls, and then marrying this wonderful queen Nagnachiti. Text 5. Priyam Prabhur Gramya Iva Priyaya Vidish Viditsur Archad Dyutarum Yadarte Vrajhadravat Tam Sagano Rushandaha Krida Mrigo Nunam Ayam Vidunam. Just to please his dear wife, the Lord brought back the Parijata tree from heaven, just as an ordinary husband would do. But in but Indra, the king of heaven, induced by his wife, henpecked as he was, ran after the Lord with full force to fight him. So Indra was before this in the Vrindavan only, like Krishna showed, know how powerful he is, and he displayed his whole this one, by Govardhan Leela. But then, see the madness that power and position can bring about. So by the power and position, a person becomes mad and he thinks that he can do anything and everything, right? So that's the position of like a powerful person. So now here, when no, Lord Krishna, he subdued Baumasur, and no, he is the like Baumasur is son of Varahadev and Bhudevi. No, the Varahadev and Bhudevi. So that to them, this Baumasur was born, and this he is an Asura, but he is a son of Varahadev. And then he was unconquerable. He was like really atrocious. And once he had actually went to the heaven, misbehaved over there, and then he stole the earring of Aditi, the mother of Indra. And Krishna, after killing this Baumasur, he went to return that earring of Aditi back to back to Indra. And while coming back, no, Satyabhama, no, Krishna took Satyabhama for killing Bhaumasur, because Satyabhama is also incarnation of Mother Earth. And because Bhaumasur is son of Earth and Varahadev, so no, Krishna didn't want to. No, Krishna wanted to have Satyabhama with him so that she will not feel bad, no, for killing. No, she also assisted in the fight actually. So in that way, no, Krishna actually took Satyabhama with him, and when both of them went to the heaven to return the like earring of Aditi, and then while coming back, Satyabhama desired, oh, this Parijata tree is so wonderful, so no, I need to have one tree in my courtyard. And Krishna told, okay, fine, so let's uproot it. So it's all Krishna's property, like no, whom he has to ask for anything. So Krishna just uprooted and then took it. And no, Indra's wife Sachi, no, she told Indra, like, no, what is this? Like, no, our heavenly property is going to Bhuloka. It is not very good. So this flower should not, this tree should not go to the Bhuloka. Like, no, you should do something about it. And Indra went again, no, went and fought with Krishna. Right. So it's such a foolish thing. No, he has already very badly got his defeat in Govardhan Leela, and now again he is doing the same old thing. Right. So this is the problem of the power and like position and things like that. So that is why it is called as what is that? Janma Aishwarya Shuta Shrivir Edamana Madapuman. So, and this is like Mada Anda, like no, they become blind by the intoxication of power and position, right? So that's what happens, at the level of Indra and all. Purport: the Lord wants Satyabhama is incarnation of Mother Earth. Satyabhama is incarnation of Mother Earth. So Lord once went to heavenly planet to present an earring of Aditi, the mother of the demigods, and his wife Satyabhama also went with him. There is a special flowering tree called Parijata, which grows only in the heavenly planets, and Satyabhama wanted this tree. Just to please his wife, like an ordinary husband, the Lord brought back the tree, and this enraged Vajri. Vajri means like one who is the wife of Indra, who's a holder of Vajra, or okay. This enraged Vajri means like, okay, Indra himself, the controller of the thunderbolt, Indra. So Indra's wife inspired him to run after the Lord to fight, and Indra, because he was a henpecked husband and also a fool, listened to them and dragged to fight with Krishna. He was a fool on this occasion because he forgot that everything belongs to the Lord. There was no fault on the part of the Lord, even though he took away the tree from the heavenly kingdom. But because Indra was henpecked, dominated by his beautiful wives like Sachi, he became a fool, just as all persons who are dominated by their wives are generally foolish. Indra thought that Krishna was a henpecked husband who only by the will of his wife Satyabhama took away the property of heaven, and therefore he thought that Krishna could be punished. He forgot that Lord is the proprietor of everything and cannot be henpecked. The Lord is fully independent, and by his will only he can have hundreds and thousands of wives like Satyabhama. He was not therefore attached to Satyabhama because she was a beautiful wife, but he was pleased with her devotional service and thus wanted to reciprocate the unalloyed devotion of his devotee. So there is no this one that Krishna is like feeling, oh, there is no Krishna is not controlled in that way. Like in the first sloka of Srimad Bhagavatam itself is very clear. Janmadhyasya tahunmayad etaratas sharteshva abhigya swarat. No, he is swarat. He is completely independent, right? So he is just reciprocating with his devotees. All his wives, who are these wives? They are just devotees of the Lord, and who has pleased by their devotional service, pleased the Lord by their devotional service, and now they are having a position as the wife of Krishna, right? So, and the Lord is reciprocating with them in that way. Okay, text 6. Okay, it's a small one. We can just do this. Sutam mride kham vapusa grasantam drishtva sunab bon matitham dharitriya आमन्त्रितस्तत्तनया य शेषं दत्वा तदन्तपुरम् आविशेष. Narakasura, the son of uh, Daritri, the earth, tried to grasp the whole sky, and for this he was killed by the Lord in a fight. His mother then prayed to the Lord. This led to the uh, return of the kingdom of the son of Narakasura, and thus the Lord entered the house of the demon. It is said in the other Puranas that Narakasura was the son of Daritri, the earth, and earth by the Lord himself, but he became a demon due to the bad association of Bana, another demon. An atheist is called a demon, and it is a fact that even a person born of good parents can turn into a demon by bad association. Birth is not always the criterion of goodness, and unless and until one is trained in the culture of good association, one cannot become good. Right? So I think this is the case. Like Narakasura is the case, like where Krishna actually accompanies, accompanied by Satyabhama. That's whole pastime. Anyways, so we will stop here for today. And today evening we have the uh, the session on the Purushottam Vrata, and especially we are discussing the prayers of Lord Brahma to the Supreme Lord, and we have did two prayers last time because it was the introductory session, and this time we will cover a little more of them. And no, it's very. And today evening we are going to discuss a very very important prayer, the first prayer, which we ended with the last means we just touched upon in the last session. That is, Brahma's prayer about how to attain that Supreme Lord, how to actually e prayaso ajita jito. He mentions the or jita jito. Like he mentions that the unconquerable Supreme Lord could be conquered. By what process? By the process of hearing, right? So, and it is very very nicely mentioned. Jnane prayasa udapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukaritam bhavadiya varta sthane sthito shrutigatham tanuvan manobir ye prayaso jita jitam api aistaistrilokyam. So that's a very very important sloka to understand, and that's a conclusion of Lord Brahma. So these prayers by great personalities, they give no conclusive philosophical truths, and it will be very very wonderful to understand them, right? So yeah, Brahmaji's prayers from Bhagavatam. Yeah, so that's in the 10th canto, 14th chapter is what we are discussing in the evenings, right? So we'll try to meet up in the evening again, right? So Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.